Here we go!
Welcome to the Nintendo PowerZone. We are a video cast / podcast dedicated to bringing you the best Nintendo-related topics. As always, I'm your host, NyceOne, and I am joined by my co-host, Blooz. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the live format of the show. It's been a month of pre-tape shows, but co-host Jaden found us a service that allows us to give an upgraded live experience, one that brings us one step closer to the visual experience I've always wanted for the show. So thank you, Jaden, for finding this for us, and thank you, Blooz, for refining it so we can go ahead and implement it. And we are excited to be using StreamYard as the new platform as we speak. Using it right now. You should see the logo in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. So thank you, StreamYard, for having an awesome service. But with all that said, another fortnight has passed us by, and we have some Nintendo news to talk about. So we're going to dive right in. But first, Blooz, welcome back, man.
Glad to be back, as always.
All right. So a couple big news stories that kind of changed the landscape of the industry. So let's go ahead and dive into our first major news story, and that is that Nintendo has won a huge lawsuit in the UK.
Essentially, it was a UK High Court is what they call it, right?
Yes.
In the High Court, they had ruled that the internet service providers have to make it harder to get to these piracy sites, correct?
Yeah.
Impede access.
So This is the official quote from the one lawsuit. Today, the UK High Court found the sale and distribution of circumvention devices for the Nintendo Switch unlawful. Nintendo was pleased that the UK High Court has confirmed that dealing in devices or software that enable piracy on Nintendo Switch systems is unlawful. This decision will protect the UK game industry and more than 1,800 developers that create games for Nintendo Switch platform and who rely on legitimate sales of games for their livelihood and to keep bringing quality content to gamers. So this is huge. So basically 5 of the top UK piracy sites got shut down. BT, EE, Sky, TalkTalk.
Well, those are piracy sites. Those are the service providers that are in access.
Yeah. Thank you. So they're going to be blocked. These are the sites that are going to be used to block access to the site. Exactly, the sites that allow for piracy. Thank you. Mm-hmm. This is a big, major lawsuit for Nintendo. Winning this sets precedents. Basically, they filed this lawsuit not because they think they're going to get money from these companies, because clearly the companies that they're suing don't have enough money to actually give Nintendo the amount of money that they would have won in this lawsuit. This is more of a warning shot.
Yeah, for sure.
For not just this company, but other companies that engage in piracy. Now, if you remember, piracy on the DS and the 3DS were really prominent with things like the R4 cards. I didn't have an R4 card personally, but I knew a bunch of people who had them, and they would pirate games constantly. And yeah, man, video games, they're expensive to make. So when we talk about the developer cost and whatnot, that's like video game prices have not seen a major increase in about 15 years. They've been $60 pretty steadily. Things like DLC and microtransactions eventually up the cost of games, but games themselves haven't had a real price increase since the early 2000s. So I've been paying $60 for a long time. And yeah, so piracy really affects the developers the most, because it's like we barely break even on these games as far as development costs are concerned, because every year development costs go up and up and up. The better looking the graphics, the more people you need to add to the team, and you really want these companies to stay afloat. You don't want to see like companies go bad, but the flip side is that because the developer costs are increasing, but the revenue isn't, we see things like microtransactions and DLC become very prominent, and now that's become a problem. So piracy, the reduction of piracy could actually benefit the game industry as a whole. We might have less things like microtransactions and whatnot, but all that being said, that really kind of boils down to the developers. But Nintendo firing this warning shot, obviously this is something they need to do because Nintendo has amazing IP that they want to protect, especially with the Switch, which has been like a runaway success for them since day one. They want to make as much money off of the games that they can, and they want to keep bringing out amazing content. But if you know for a fact that your games are going to be pirated, you have to do something to kind of nip that in the bud. Do you have any additional thoughts on just the ruling of the piracy lawsuit?
I mean, as far as piracy goes, piracy is obviously bad. It's illegal, and for the reasons that we've already said, it hurts the developers, the people that make the games. That is their living. That is like where they make their money, and it's expensive to make games. It's not like I make the game, I produce 80 million copies, or 80 million. That's a lot, but I produce like X amount, and then I sell it, and after I've sold at least one, I'm just reimbursed. Like, no, if you sell a game at $60, it's nowhere near making its money back. It's nowhere close, which is sometimes a shame, especially when a chunk of those sales come from pirated, not sales. A chunk of sales could have been there, but they got pirated or something. Which is bad because this is their livelihood. You see a lot of arguments about how artists, maybe graphic designers or people that take commissions, why would I pay you money or I found this on the internet, why would I give you credit or give you money for X art that you made? It's because that's their livelihood. That is their work. It's the same as doing manual labor or building something. You're making something that is your product that you market and you sell. Video games are an art form just the same as well as music. When people pirate music, you're hurting the artist that makes and produces the music.
Exactly. Now, and keep in mind that Nintendo filed these to protect their trademarks. This goes further than just making money off the game. This is them protecting their IP, like characters like Mario, Zelda, Luigi, Donkey Kong. They're protecting their characters because piracy is kind of like a slippery slope. You start with just pirating the games, and that comes into like fan developed games, which now you're kind of using IP that you don't own to do with whatever you please. And it's a slippery slope. I'm not saying that this is the slope that these sites that are allowing the piracy are going down. It's just something that could potentially happen. It is a fallout that could happen because of piracy. And we all have seen how stringent Nintendo has been on protecting their IP. How many Pokemon games, fan Pokemon games, have they shut down in order to protect the brand?
That's specifically what I wanted to talk about next, is that one thing that is, I guess, a benefit of ROM websites is that Nintendo doesn't always sell these games anymore. They're not making money off of them, and they don't produce them. You can't buy them legally. And so the argument becomes, hey, they're not doing anything with this. I may as well just pirate so that I'm able to play it. Which I think Nintendo just has to be able to give people a reliable way to play them then. And then ROM sites don't need to exist. But even if that's the case, you're losing a thing called ROM hacks and fan games, which are a lot of the times great. There are a lot of good ones out there, but I also understand it's not their franchise to do, to make a fan game, to make a ROM hack of, and that is understandable. I am with Nintendo there, but it's a whole lot easier to make a ROM hack than it is to build a whole new game, to build a whole new IP, essentially, because you can't use Pokemon to make your Pokemon fan game, so you're just going to do something completely different from the ground up. So it becomes a whole lot harder and a lot less accessible to people that want to get into this kind of thing.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Now, moving on to the second part of this story, we decided to treat it as one story. Nintendo, after just having won the lawsuit, they've decided that they want to file a new lawsuit. This one is very specific. The company is suing ROM Universe, which is a subscription-based ROM service, which offers unlimited downloads of new and old Nintendo games for $30 per year. So this company is specifically profiting from the sale of Nintendo ROMs. So Nintendo is seeking $150,000 for each copyrighted work, plus a total of $2 million for infringing upon its trademarks. Again, it comes back to infringing on the trademark. Now, $150,000 for each copyrighted work. I don't have access to how many properties that ROM Universe has done, but this could be in the upper millions of dollars.
Easily, yeah.
Real easily, just off based on the Pokemon franchise alone, you're already into the millions. So this is a bigger lawsuit, in my opinion, because this is the first time I can really recall Nintendo suing a company that's specifically profiting. A lot of these other ROM sites, they don't actually turn a profit; they're just releasing the games. This one is like content to make money off of Nintendo IP, which is clear. It's clear.
That's definitely legal.
That's
100%. Yeah, like it is one thing when go back to that argument with the fan games to have a fan game, make a game and distribute it for free, because it's they're not making money off. They just want to make an experience for the player. But then all of a sudden they start charging for it, and then that's definitely wrong. You didn't make the base game. Sure, you made the fan game or whatever. You didn't make the game at all if it's just a straight ROM. To make money off that is scummy.
Yeah, this is one of the most shocking lawsuits I've seen Nintendo engage in. And this is the first time, because remember, Nintendo did sue the maker of R4, and they eventually won that lawsuit. But by the time they won that lawsuit, the DS and the 3DS had already had long lifespans. And specifically, it felt like the 3DS was in a lull at that point. There weren't any real major games on the horizon. Once they won that lawsuit, there was a string of hardcore major 3DS games like Pokemon Sun and Moon and the enhanced sequels Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and a few other games. The Mario and Luigi games started to come out. After they won that lawsuit, you saw a big influx of games coming out for the 3DS again. But it almost seems like they took a break
during the end of the lawsuit.
Yeah.
One thing that is interesting about ROM Universe here is that they offer close to 300,000 Switch games. It says, which is it's a lot. One, but two, I didn't even know. I had figured that people had been able to extract the files from Switch games, but I didn't actually think that they were able to host them yet or emulate or anything. So that's actually very surprising to me. I didn't know that these were available on any websites. So
yeah, honestly, I don't even know how you would. I guess you would have to hack your Switch system.
Yeah.
Which the Switch is hackable. It is hackable, but I heard it's kind of a process.
Yeah,
and every update they patch. Every time they do an update to the system, it patches out one of the workarounds. But these hackers, sometimes they work faster than Nintendo does.
That's terrifying.
All right.
That covers it, right?
Yeah. With that, we can go ahead and move into our next story, which is the rebranding of E3. So there's a lot to talk about with this particular topic, and it's one that I'm actually really excited to discuss. But as it is, so the ESA, who they are the men and women behind E3. They have announced that they want to restructure their plans for E3 2020. They actually want to rebrand it entirely. They want to make it more of a Gamescom / video game festival type event. Here's the quote is. The quote goes as follows. ESA has decided that E3 2020 should feel more similar to Gamescom and that it will instead have 8 experience hubs. They've also decided they want to rebrand the name. All right, so the planned rebranding name is Fan, Media, and Influencer Festival.
Oh.
Which is a terrible name.
Yeah.
E3 Entertainment Electronic Entertainment Expo. That's what E3 stands for. To have this new name sounds bad, but this is a lot of backlash. This is in response to a lot of backlash that E3 has had for some time now. As the industry has grown over the last decade, E3 has become less and less important, specifically with things like the Nintendo Direct, the Microsoft State of Play. Oh no, I'm sorry, the Sony State of Play events, and Microsoft just launched their own version of Nintendo Directs as well. I don't remember what they're specifically called. But with these advancements in technology, the video game companies are finding ways to market directly to their audience, and the media presence at events like E3 has become less and less integral. Initially, E3 started as it wasn't for the fans, it was for investors. It's so that you can see these are the games that we are making. Give us money so that we can make these games. It was a trade show, is the words that I was looking for. It was a trade show, and at trade shows, you're not looking to impress the audience, the people who are going to buy these games, because people are going to buy the games, kind of regardless. You're looking for investors, people who see what you're doing and say, these are products that I want to get behind. I want in. Here's money, and not just to them. It was for retailers as well. For retailers to go ahead and place their orders. I need 50,000 copies of this game day one, or I need 10 million copies. It's whatever number to satiate the market with these games. Over the last few years, the moment that E3 became open to the public, it shifted the balance from a media and retail event into a fan event. Now, honestly, like, as a fan, this sounds pretty cool, like having a video game festival in a sense. But if you look at Gamescom, which I think Gamescom is a great event, but we don't get any real announcements from events like Gamescom. Like, where are the major announcements? You get information on things you already know about at events like this. The same kind of applies for Tokyo Game Show, but Tokyo Game Show does a better job of showcasing new stuff as well. So it's in response to the dwindling influence of E3, but it's also in response to the fact that earlier this year it was reported that E3 had the people behind E3 had a security breach in which a bunch of people who had attended E3 had their personal and credit information leaked for the past 2 years. So this is a security breach that goes back to 2017. Affecting however many hundreds of thousands of people that attended E3 for those last 2 years. So the ESA is definitely trying to rebrand in an effort to fix fan issues and to understand. They're also understanding the fact that they have less influence on the industry as a whole. And in fact, Sony not attending this year's E3, period, that was kind of like a death knell. When one of the three big companies chooses not to attend your event, things are going sideways for you. Any additional thoughts?
I would say I have a lot, actually. As far as the rebranding, it is a terrible name. But the way I see it, I almost see the direction that they should go is maybe more along the lines of PAX than Gamescom. I could see them just sort of having, an event where you can play games, essentially, where it's essentially just all people trying out products that aren't out yet and getting to know people, going to maybe some panels here and there, which is how I think should be. They mentioned there's a layout of how they want to do it. So they want to have a whole day dedicated to the press and media and influencers specifically, so that way you're getting, your media coverage and everyone's able to get the interviews that they need, etc. And then the next 2 days are open to everyone. They did also say that they wanted to increase the number of people there in the public, which I don't know how they're going to do that. That sounds awful. It's already really long lines.
Specifically, they have 15,000.
That's their target for 2020, right?
No, I think they said they want to open the floor. So the ESA approved an additional 10,000, which would bring the number to 25,000. So last year they had 15,000 guest passes, not media passes.
Okay. Got
so, increasing it to an additional 10,000, 25,000 people being able to attend E3, that is
the lines are already stupid.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember when Breath of the Wild was at 2016's E3.
The line for that.
Not just that, but did you see when the doors opened?
Oh.
It looked like there was a stampede. If you fell, you died.
Yeah.
You got trampled like Mufasa.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah. Moving on. Speaking of the lines, though, they've added they're wanting to do a feature called Qtainment. Is that, am I saying that right? Qtainment?
Yeah, so basically entertainment within the line.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's a feature. I don't think it's a bad feature, especially if lines are going to get longer with more people. I also feel like they should just manage the lines better. I also feel like a lot of people wouldn't really care. They would maybe just be playing a 3DS or a Switch or be talking, be on a phone in lines. So I would rather they just do other stuff to accommodate the lines going more than entertaining them in the line.
They also stated that they want to have some type of fast pass system,
which sounds
Disney and Universal Studios.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've been to Universal Studios or Disney World, but to get a fast pass, you pay a significantly large amount for a fast pass. At Disney, you have to buy an individual fast pass per ride. At Universal Studios, a fast pass covers all rides, and they work great, especially when the park is crowded. But I think what needs to happen is, if you're going to have an event like this, demos like the Breath of the Wild demo can't really exist at an E3, where it's like, here's 15 to 20 minutes to explore 1% of this very large game. That made that line really long for Breath of the Wild. And the same thing kind of applied for Mario Odyssey when they ran Mario Odyssey at that year's E3. And whenever Nintendo has any kind of game of that magnitude, not just Nintendo, but any company, they have to have a more vertical slice to showcase instead of
20 minutes
larger experiences. Yeah, because that's the only way. And that's something that the ESA is going to have to specifically request of these game developers and be like, hey, we can't showcase this game if you can't match these timetables. An experience should probably last nowhere between 5 and 10 minutes.
Because sorry.
Go ahead.
That creates the line just not moving as fast in general, because not everyone's experiencing anything. There's people going back in the line a lot too, trying to get another % off of that little area, and so it's unhealthy. I think Nintendo maybe should try and, I don't know how they would for the Breath of the Wild demo, but like give more setups. Like their whole thing was just that one demo, but it's more people being able to go through is helpful.
Agreed, but if E3 and the ESA do go forward with a plan like this, experiences like the Breath of the Wild experience, they fall to the wayside. And will game developers like Nintendo actually want to showcase major releases at this event? And what does that say for the things like the show floors, like events like the press conferences? Like Nintendo has already stepped away from doing a show floor presentation going back since 2011. Their last show floor event was the unveiling of the Wii U in 2011. And since then, they've used Nintendo Directs as their way of showcasing their new games. They do it during E3 week, but the relevance of that will fall to the wayside if the event is rebranded. And I would have to assume the same would go for Microsoft. And since Sony is no longer attending E3, what's the point? What is the point if these major news announcements can't happen because of a rebranding like this? Like, I hate to say that E3 has fallen out of relevance, but that's exactly what's happened.
There are a few more things I want to talk about real quick too. On the Fast Pass, and you can electronically schedule to make a reservation, essentially, is a feature that I guess is talked about. And then the last just weird thing is they talk about celebrity play, like something. Like they give the example of how we can have pro basketball players play the new NBA 2K game, which I guess is cool, but that's not how I think most people attending E3 want to spend their time.
I think this year with Fortnite, where they had like that massive Fortnite. I'm sorry, the year before, when Fortnite got announced for the Switch, there was also that giant Fortnite tournament that they did at the E3 on the E3 show floor that had like all these celebrities and like pro players playing and just playing Fortnite for like half an hour, which all that stuff is cool, but like not necessary. And the same thing can go to Nintendo's tournaments. How many tournaments does Nintendo run at E3 a year? They're up to 3 now. They did Mario Maker, Smash, and Splatoon this past year, and then they did ARMS the year before and Pokken. I don't know.
And then there's also the Nintendo World Championships in general, which aren't at E3 anymore by the looks of it, but they could be next year. You never know.
Exactly.
They had them sort of sporadically.
Exactly. So all these things are cool. These kind of fan events, festivals, as you will, like Nintendo's already kind of doing that for E3.
Mhm.
I think that's maybe where E3 is getting the ideas from. Like Nintendo has pulled off these massively successful events
Mhm.
at our venue during this week. We could do something similar, but again, it takes all like it takes off all the pressure of a traditional E3, but it also gets rid of all the major announcements that one would expect at an E3, you know?
I think what my hope from this is that so we have this sort of media press day already. I just want them to get rid of that entirely, honestly, and just say, hey, we're just gonna have E3, and then like we'll bring it to you. So they'll like Nintendo will say, all right, so here's what we have to show the press, and they'll gather the press in this one area, so, like not even at E3 or during E3. Just from now on, say, hey, we can give the press these things when we schedule it with them. I think that's just like the way to do it from now on. Don't tether these kinds of things to E3. I think you maybe make some public announcements around E3, like they're already doing with Nintendo Directs and State of Plays, and just have one for E3 and maybe get some announcements in there. But use this opportunity to get away from E3 as this big crunch time. Get the cinematic trailers done by E3. Get the logos ready for the game we haven't started yet. Like no, get rid of that. Because I think also not only is E3 falling out of relevancy, and it's facing issues with how it's more of a fan event now. It's just kind of a big advertisement right now, because you see, like I just mentioned, like there's these cinematic trailers that look nothing like how the game's going to look, just to generate hype among the fans to say, oh my gosh, Anthem, that game looks phenomenal. I can't wait for that to come out. Everyone buys it. It looks nothing like the ads.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, E3 hasn't always been the best like showcasing of what what the game will look like properly. Blooz is, as Blooz just stated, like this isn't the first time where we've seen games shown at E3 where the game wasn't the final product, or where there's a claim like these are in-game graphics, and it's like, no, that's in-game engine. That's completely different.
There's some games that are announced that just never see any other topics. Like, okay, well, this game was announced at E3. Whatever happened to that? I haven't heard from it since.
Exactly. With all that being stated, though, this isn't even growing pains. E3 went through its growing pains. This is E3 going through a midlife crisis and trying to buy like, a motorcycle or a Corvette in order to make itself cool again. Mm-hmm. I have been of the mind that E3 becomes less and less relevant every year. I love E3. I really do. Mm-hmm. I love what it means for the industry. But as the years go on, that means less and less. And the need for E3, it significantly dwindles every year. So if E3 2019 was the last true E3, I'm not the best E3 to go out on. I think Nintendo had a real good showcasing. I don't think Microsoft dropped the ball as hard as people said they did. But Sony not attending really left like it kind of sour taste in my mouth. It didn't feel like a complete E3, if you will. But that being said, though, I think we can go ahead and move into our next topic, which is Ring Fit Adventure, a proper successor to Wii Fit. So I did a 16-bit news on this last week, and we briefly talked about this on our last episode of the podcast when the news broke and we saw the Resistance Ring, which has now been dubbed the Ring Con. This looks fun. Like, now that we've seen the final product, well, what this game looks like, I'm not going to lie, I want in. I've been looking for an excuse to kind of exercise again. And the thing about exercise is it sucks. There's like no real benefit to exercising other than the health benefit, because there's nothing fun about running and weightlifting and crunchies. That shit sucks. Like, it's good for your body, it makes you healthy, but all of it sucks. It's not a fun thing to do. And really the only like gratitude that you feel towards it is when somebody recognizes, hey, you lost weight, you look good, and you're like, thank you. That's where like you start to feel like the dividends of all that. But the process of it sucks so much. But Nintendo, and leave it to Nintendo to find a way to turn exercise into straight up play. Because now that they've shown this, I'm all about it. I was like, wait a minute, all of that looks fun. And I had Wii Fit and Wii Fit U, and I love those games. Like, they weren't even like full game experiences. Those were more about like true exercise. But there was like an adventure mode in Wii Fit U that was a whole lot of fun. And you just ran around this little town plaza with your Mii character, and you got some work done. And I thought that was a fun way of engaging exercise. And this has taken that a step further. Now, granted, no balance board, which kind of I like the balance board, but you know the ring con and the leg strap, they look like pretty viable and accurate ways of tracking body movement. And now you can even track your heart rate using the IR sensor. I didn't even know that thing could do that.
It keeps surprising us, for sure.
I know, right? The Switch is so much more innovative than you would initially have given it credit for. Yeah, but this is a really interesting way of going about a workout regimen.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of Find Me mixed with Wii Fit.
It looks more like Miitopia to me than Find Me.
Okay, I can see the Miitopia.
Yeah.
I know that after we saw the announcement, you said that new Echo Fighter.
Yeah.
Replacing the Wii Fit trainer with the Ring Fit Adventurer.
Yeah, I think you use the up B animation instead of hula hoops. It's the Ring Fit, the Ring Con. And for the up B, I think you could do everything else the same. You all the yoga poses I think would still be there. Deep breathing is still important, or you could just replace it with some other exercise like quick jog to like get your blood pumping first. Just same thing, but different animation for that potentially. But then I think the only thing that needs to be changed is the side B. From what we've seen, we have not seen the volleyball or the soccer head move in Ring Fit Adventure. So I think the proper way to do this is give us something sort of similar to Heroes Side Special. But instead of, casting lightning, it's the flaming hair ponytail whip. Because that's like one of the best like character design differences between Wii Fit Trainer and Ring Fit Trainer is that she goes Super Saiyan. Her hair lights on fire when you're doing well. Like, that's such a nice little touch they put in. It's like when you're in rhythm, when you're doing things well, your character like responds visually to that. And that's, I think, a great detail.
Yeah, there's a lot to like visually from the game. Now, it's not so graphically intensive, but it's got a cool art style.
No, for sure.
I gotta say, I kind of think the story is hilarious. You're going up against a bodybuilding dragon. I
love it.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That is so
it fits
great.
Like the setting and the themes, for sure.
Yeah, it's like a Dragon Quest game mixed with like exercise. It's weird.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me is that this is an adventure game, and I think that's the big thing for everyone. Is that it's an adventure game. It has a definitive adventure that keeps you going. You start and then there's a story or like more to keep you coming. Whereas with Wii Fit, it's like, okay, play a mini game for 5 minutes, and all right, cool. I've done my 5 minutes a day, and then 2 weeks go by, you've played Wii Fit for 5 minutes, 2 weeks, and you're like, okay, I'm bored. The new Mario game just came. Let's play that for a while, and you just never get back into Wii Fit. That's how it goes. But this way, you have incentive to keep playing. There's growth with your character. The combat looks fun because it's a combat system, not just doing stuff. And I think I see a lot of incentives here. Yeah. The main concern with that same exact argument to me is that there's a definitive end date. You play through, and that takes you 2-3 months, and then what? Do you just stop working out at that point? Do you give it another playthrough? Is there a new game plus, or is it just more of the same? To me, the big saving grace seems to be the additional modes that we were shown. So there was like a routine maker, which I think will be the big saving grace from this. There's also mini games, which will be really good.
Yeah. What I really like about the whole setup, though, is the fact that you can go ahead and just have your quick play modes as well and your mini games. The mini games look really engaging. They kind of have like this Mario Party-esque vibe to them, but through like a single player lens. I like the one where like you squeeze the ring con and it shoots like the waves of air at the crates and you break the crates. The clay one as well looks very interesting to me. So just the mini game aspect of it, which will allow you just to get some more individualized exercise outside of the story mode. And I'd have to imagine that there are maybe some people who own a Switch and get this that don't care about the adventure mode, and they're in it purely for the experience of just sheer exercise, just looking for a more engaging way to go about their exercise routine. And going into that quick play mode will really just allow them to target the areas of their body that they specifically want to work out. So you don't actually necessarily need the adventure mode. I think the adventure mode is definitely a highlight of the game, but having a more personalized workout routine will definitely work better for specific people.
I think they're already sort of marketing it towards that kind of audience, because they know that like people who play video games like probably already know this, but they're trying to like really reach out to people that don't know what the Switch is yet and maybe are interested in exercising. So I already see like they're doing this towards a different audience, which I think is great, because looking at the Wii and Wii Fit, everyone knew what the Wii was. You mentioned Wii. Oh yeah, my grandma has the Wii. You say a Switch. What's a Switch? Grandma, do you know what the Switch is? It's not the same. It's not quite a household thing yet. So I think this is a good way to expand audiences, as well as, to get the exercise people in on this,
All right. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Is Ring Fit Adventure a purchase from you?
To me, it depends on how much it costs, because these are, I don't think the Ring Con and the strap will cost as much as a Wii balance board.
Well, but the retail listing is $79.99. They did go ahead and release that after the fact. It's not even listed on the website yet. Yeah, it was listed at $79.99, so it is $80, which is about the same as what Wii Fit costs, but with less hardware. Well, more hardware, but less. Not as much hardware, because there's like the balance board was big.
It was clunky,
and there was a lot of tech in that balance board. I don't know how much. Like, really, you're paying for a resistance ring and a leg strap.
Mm-hmm.
So how much the resistance ring would really cost out, in the outside market? Because you have to imagine that there's something akin to this. Like, how much does it like cost to buy like a resistance rubber band? They're not that expensive. So you are paying about $20 just for the ring and the strap. Mm-hmm. And then the standard $60 for the game, which honestly makes the game feel a little expensive, because this isn't like this is a workout game. It's it's not like a full on like game.
But I see it having more content than Wii Fit.
That's true.
I would pay more for the game of Ring Fit Adventure than I would for the game of Wii Fit. I feel like
very true.
I think I'm gonna pick it up just because, like you said, I'm interested in working out. I want a different way to work out. I'm looking for a good incentive, and the game just looked overall fun. So I think it is kind of gonna hurt me in the wallet. Purchases for games are already kind of limited this year in terms of my budget, but I'm gonna try and find a way to pick it up for sure.
Exactly. You know what? I agree. I think this is a purchase for myself as well, but maybe not a day one purchase. I might not need this the day it comes out, but I definitely think it's a game that I do want to have as part of my collection. Plus, it's just something I know myself and my fiance will enjoy. And she's been wanting to start working out again too. And we did that a lot when we first started dating. We worked out together. We went on long walks. We played Wii Fit and Wii Fit U together. So, it seems like a way for us to go ahead and get back into some healthier habits that we had earlier in our relationship. So this is something I definitely see myself getting, just for the sheer purposes of that itself, But yeah, I agree. This is a purchase. it may not be a day one purchase. But before we move on from the subject, I kind of want to say I like what Nintendo's been doing with the Switch as a whole, because now you have you have multiple experiences on the Switch. We have the pure gaming aspect of it, both in handheld and in docked mode. But now you have experiences like creation, where with Labo, where you can now have these experiences where you build and you learn like little things that could spark the imaginations of future engineers, right? With Labo, and you have the Labo VR experiences. Again, you build something and then you engage in the games in a whole new way. And if you've used the Labo VR, which I have, it's actually a whole lot of fun. It's like oddly more fun than it has any right to be. But yeah, and then now you have this aspect of the Switch, the workout aspect, the aspect that Nintendo hasn't really properly captured since the original Wii Fit. Wii Fit U was just okay. It wasn't a great successor to Wii Fit. This looks
Where's Wii Fit Plus fit into that? Wii Fit Plus just upgraded Wii Fit, but then Wii Fit U is just upgraded Wii Fit.
Yeah,
like it doesn't expand as much as it should for the price. I think I've been feeling very nostalgic for Nintendo's lifestyle products recently. Like going back to Brain Age, Art Academy, the Wii Fit, what else? There's the cooking, like recipes app, like stuff like that is like really nostalgic for me at this point.
Well,
I don't know.
Surgeon game too that was like really, really detailed.
Which one?
There was a surgery game where you
Trauma Center.
Yeah, Trauma Center. Yeah,
that's Atlas though, and it's actually like an Atlas like RPG, not an RPG, but like an Atlas game.
True, but I would say that game kind of fits into the whole lifestyle genre. But
it's more of a sim genre, whereas the lifestyle stuff is like it's being active and fit, and it's training your brain. It's like you don't learn skills or do things, like really do things in Trauma Center.
Well, yeah, it's nice to know because like for the longest time, the quality of life stuff seemed to have gone away, and I kind of speculated that some of it would be coming with Pokemon Sleep, but it looks like we've seen a lot more like quality of life stuff that has just been naturally integrated into the Switch hardware itself. Just the fact that you can check your heart rate via the IR sensor is something I never would have expected of the Switch's hardware in the slightest. But again, like I was saying, I'm glad that Nintendo has found ways to separately market different aspects of the Switch to different people. Like I would go on to like we're the hardcore. We're here for the games and the hardcore game experiences that Nintendo has to offer. But who's to say that there isn't a market for things like Labo and now Ring Fit Adventure? Like I would venture to say that now that Ring Fit Adventure comes out, we're going to start to see a whole lot more of these workout games coming out for the Nintendo Switch, especially if Ring Fit Adventure is remotely successful. We'll start to see a whole lot more of these types of things going forward.
I remember
topic. So go ahead and wrap this up for us.
There was a whole lot of stuff like that in the past where it was, everyone had their hand in a little bit of the active game pie, and everyone had their hand in like the Guitar Hero pie. And I don't really want to revisit that as much, to be honest. But I am very excited for Ring Fit Adventure. It looks great. And I need to lose some pounds, so I'm probably picking it up.
All right. With all that said, let's go ahead and slide into our next topic, which is Sakurai smashes the competition. So, for those who are unaware, Tokyo Game Show was last week, and Smash Brothers won very big at TGS. They won pretty much every major award that was like laid out to them. So Smash Brothers won the Minister of Economy and Trade Industry Award. It won the Grand Award, and it won an award for excellence. With Labo actually winning a special award, and one more award for Smash was they won the Best Sales Award. So, global award for Japanese product, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as well. They won big. They won so big. And Sakurai, when he got to give an announcement afterwards, and within that announcement, he talked about how you'll probably never see a roster as large as this in a Smash game ever again. Which, God, I would, if this is Sakurai's last game, the guy who picks up after him, who moves into the producer role for the next Smash Brothers game, he's gonna have his work cut out for him, because what are we up to now with characters like 65, 66?
At the end of the Fighters Pass, I believe we have 70. Because Incineroar 75 at the end of the Fighters Pass.
Okay, so
and then there's more.
They've extended that even further. So he went on to say that we'll probably never see a Smash game with as large of a character roster, which again makes me feel like this is his last game.
It's understandable, 80 plus characters though.
Exactly. But in the award, Sakurai, during his speech, he was able to talk about why he made Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The quote goes as follows: "I'm sorry for bringing up this personal story at a time like this, but making Smash Bros. On the Switch was the last mission the late Satoru Iwata gave to me. I put my all into the game, and with more DLC, I will continue to work hard. He was the best superior I ever had, and a man who understood me better than anyone." So this is something that was mandated by late president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata, to Masahiro Sakurai, make the biggest Smash game we have ever made. Now, keep in mind that this is the first Iwata-less Super Smash Bros. Game. Now, and a lot can be said that a lot of Smash Bros. Ultimate is built on the structure of Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, but it's become a whole lot more than that as well. This is the biggest Smash game we're probably ever gonna get. So to know that this was something that Iwata wanted more than anything as he was dying for the company, it just says a whole lot about who Satoru Iwata was, man. And it's like every year we get another reminder as to what was so great about Iwata. And even though Nintendo is in a really good place with the Switch and the success of the Switch, you cannot really replace what Iwata was for Nintendo. And it's kind of sad to know that he's not here during like this boom for Nintendo, because what's Nintendo doing right now? They have a theme park coming out, a big theme park in multiple countries, that's going to connect to Nintendo Switch hardware, as I talked about last week during the 16-bit news. You have one of the most successful Nintendo platforms really just taking the industry by storm, and now we're starting to see that now that the Switch has had all the success, we're starting to see iterations of the Switch come out. We've got the better battery life Switch. We have the Nintendo Switch Lite coming out. All these amazing games and remakes coming out for the Switch. The repaired relationship between Square and Nintendo. All of this because of the success of this platform. And it's sad that Iwata's not here to be part of that. But the awards that Smash Bros. Itself won, those are awesome too, because it's like, this game is a true phenomenon. And, you know, the people who vote on these awards at Tokyo Game Show, they recognized how big this franchise is and what this game is and means to the franchise as a whole and to the community who plays these games. One last piece of information, though, before we just go on to discuss this topic a little bit more, is Sakurai did state that Smash Bros. Is for video games, so don't expect to see characters like Iron Man or Goku or Shrek in these games. You have to be a video game character to be part of the Smash. So guys, stop harassing Sakurai with your stupid complaints like, where's Goku? We need Goku. You don't need Goku. There are a million fighting games with Goku in them. Go play one of those.
You have an Akira Toriyama character. Just settle for that, please.
Exactly. All right. So, any thoughts on the Tokyo Game Show and the last mission quote from Sakurai.
I think you kind of summed it up already. It's a phenomenal game. A lot of work went into it. I do not see this game getting bigger. Sakurai put in so much of himself into this, and Iwata just also, like you said before, as he was dying, requested this game. It's I'm kind of without words. And it's really touching. I know he like was all like, oh, please excuse, getting all personal here, but like that was great to be heard from him on an emotional level for me. I don't know. And finally seeing the confirmation that, hey, Goku, Shrek, don't request those. Although at one point James Bond was considered. Just
Weird.
putting that out there.
Well, I mean, to be fair, GoldenEye was a really big game for the Nintendo 64. So I think that's a little bit different. I don't know.
It is. It's definitely different.
All right. Do we have anything else to add on Sakurai and the Tokyo Game Show?
Bless you, Sakurai. Bless you, Iwata. Great work in both of your careers. Phenomenal.
Exactly, right? Although, before we move on, I do want to say I felt like Tokyo Game Show was like really low key this year. We didn't get any like huge announcements, and we didn't really get any like major presentations. Like the year before, they gave the oh no, I'm thinking GDC. Never mind. But normally TGS does have some bigger announcements.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like the other consoles got some though.
Well, I think the big thing just in general here is that what are they going to announce? The PlayStation 5? Games for the PlayStation 5? They can't do that yet. Like, we're in that weird sort of mid-generational, this generation's ending, so they're all making games for the next one, but because that next system isn't, done or announced officially, whatever, they can't announce the games for it. I think
we're still like a ways off. They think Sony said 2021 is like the PS5's era.
I think people are expecting to like see, it announced at not E3, the what's it going to be called? The festival they're doing. Like they're expecting it to be announced then and then released either that fall or next fall. I thought.
I could have swore that Sony themselves stated that they were a little ways off from the release, but
I don't remember. But either way, they're gearing up for that. Even if it's now till 2 years from now, they're still gearing up for it. I think it's the big thing.
Yeah. All right. So with that said, let's just go ahead and get into our next story. And dude, I love this one. And I can't talk about it. But Ash finally won a Pokemon League. He won the Alola League in Pokemon Sun and Moon, the series. And did you get a chance to watch the episode?
It was really great. The final battle actually kind of threw me for a loop because it was the Lycanrocs, right? That was like the final matchup. And if you've been like following the series at least a little bit loosely, you'll know that sort of Ash's Lycanroc is kind of like a freak of nature and isn't accepted by other Lycanrocs, specifically Gladians, because he's not a true Lycanroc. He's not good enough, and so it was a very triumphant moment for Lycanroc. And in Pokemon, a lot of time, it's not just Ash's journey, it's his Pokemon's journey. They all have their own arcs. And this was the perfect sort of send-off to Lycanroc's arc. Lycanroc kind of filled the place as Ash Greninja this time, whereas Ash got a very special Greninja, Ash got a very special Lycanroc in this one.
Exactly, yeah. I was actually about to bring that up, is that like in X and Y, was it X and Y?
X and Y for Greninja.
Yeah, in X and Y, Greninja was a very prominent member of Ash's team to the point where like it was, I think it outranked Pikachu as far as like ability is concerned. And at this point, we all know that Ash's Pikachu should be super OP, but it's not for some reason. Anyhow,
it's a Pikachu. This is holding a light ball. It's nothing.
Yeah, but this should be like a level infinity Pikachu by now. It's been through like 8 different leagues at this point, or 7 different leagues. But still, the battle itself was great. I really love the Pikachu versus Zorora fight. They
That
did
was-
that really well with the double knockout. That was really and Pikachu beating his pseudo legendary. Come on,
both of them had legendaries, which is like kind of wild. Like
yeah,
Ash,
that's the first time. Is this the first time Ash has had a legendary?
no.
In the league?
Oh, in the league, maybe I don't remember. But Ash has had 3 legendaries in the course of Sun and Moon. He had Solgaleo. He had Naganadel / Poipole, which wasn't really his, but like it was his. And he had Melmetal. He has the freaking Melmetal.
Yeah, but Melmetal was useless.
I mean, yes.
That's like
but then seeing also
what's the point of
Gladian,
Ash having a legendary if it's just gonna get bodied?
I don't know. But it was it's also worth mentioning that Gladian has both Zeraora and Type Null / Savali.
Yeah,
I forget with the evolution. It's Savali's this evolved form, I think. Pretty sure.
Yeah,
And
I can't remember.
I want to say Savali's the evolution of Type Null. That's my final answer. It's been a while since I played Sun and Moon.
Going to the old Google machine.
Yeah. But it was
Savali.
and then going back to what you were saying with the Pikachu fight, they totally just threw us back to Volt Tackle. Pikachu used Volt Tackle. You can't convince me otherwise.
Oh, as a Z move, maybe. That was cool though. I love the whole fact that like Ash beat a pseudo legendary with a Pikachu specific Z move.
Well, it's not a pseudo legendary. It was it's a mythical.
Mythical, there we go.
Pseudo legendaries are like Dragonites and Garchomp.
He beat a mythical Pokemon with a Pikachu using a Z move.
Yeah.
And the animation for that, like I know people have given Sun and Moon a lot of flack for its art direction, but the animation on those 2 Z moves going back and forth was fantastic. On top of that, I kind of want to talk about the way that Ash won the battle. Did he counter a counter?
I think.
Like, did he use counter against counter?
I think.
Fight, which is like, that doesn't work.
It doesn't.
It does absolutely not work. Because I didn't watch it with subtitles. I watched it in the straight up Japanese version, but I clearly heard Gladion saying counter, and then when his Lycanroc does like that uppercut counter, and Ash's Lycanroc is like doing like a backflip from like
he flips like over it
of the uppercut. Ash is like counter, and then he hits it with like the horn of his like mane, and I'm like, that's not how counter works. It's
not. It was kind of BS, but it was like a cool like finishing blow nonetheless. But
true. And I like how they did the whole flashback of like Ash's Lycanroc's journey with Ash, where you see it when he first gets it from Kukui, to the point where he finds that it's like going off on its own to battle against like Lycanroc when it's still like a Rockruff, and it's fighting, and then its evolution when it finally evolved into the dust form, which I swear dust form was made purely for Ash to have.
Yeah. Just like Ash Greninja. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's Ash Greninja by Lycanroc, 100%.
And they showed the fight that the 2 Lycanrocs, Gladions, and Ashes had before, where Gladion's Lycanroc completely bodied Ash's Lycanroc, to this point where like his Lycanroc has finally stepped up and won. And I love the fact that, you know, they utilized the 2 characters having the same Pokemon to finish this off. I mean, based off of their team compositions throughout the course of the anime, there was no other way for this battle to go. I mean, it's not often that Ash has a rival with even one remotely similar Pokemon. So to the point where we get to here, and you know, they finally battle out, and Ash finally gets that long coveted, you know, Champions Trophy that he clearly deserved in Pokemon X and Y. And now, you know, I'm happy that they finally got the character to a point where he could win a Pokemon League. But this brings me to the question that I've been thinking about since we found out that Ash won the Pokemon League. Is this a direct response from the creators because of how poor the reception was for Ash losing in Pokemon X and Y? That was a bad reception. Like, a lot of people got hot when Ash lost. When Greninja lost to the dude's Charizard.
Yeah, Alon. I 100% think this is them just kind of like appeasing the fans over that. And
We know you're mad, so we're gonna give you this one.
Yeah. And I think the next logical discussion point from here is that is this mean we're getting a new protagonist? Does this mean we're getting a reboot of the series? I want to jump into that.
That was literally my next point.
Yeah.
It has been stated on numerous occasions from the creators of the anime that if Ash ever won a Pokemon League, that would be the end of Ash's journey. Now, a week before the Ash winning the Pokemon League, the show Pokechi, it's a new live. It's a live show where it's a live action Pokemon show, kind of like looks like a Ellen or an Oprah style show where they talk about nothing but Pokemon. They revealed that there was a new anime series coming out simply entitled Pocket Monsters that would cover all of the regions going up into Alola. And it's a really interesting name because Pocket Monsters was the original title of the Pokemon anime during its first season. But they have not shown any information about main characters. They didn't really specifically state that this was a spin-off show, just a new show. If that's the case, I'm starting to lean more towards the fact that because Ash won this Pokemon League, that this is the end of Ash Ketchum's journey, or Satoshi's journey. Which would be, on one end, the character finally achieved his goals, and what more does he really need? But from a nostalgia point, I'm not sure if I'm ready for Ash to go. Now, I don't always finish, different series of the anime. For Pokemon Sun and Moon, I specifically dropped out the moment they killed Stoutland. When Stoutland died, I left the show because I was like, no, I don't care. There was 40 episodes into the series, and I was not cool with that. I was like, you did me once with Butterfree, you don't get to do me twice in one lifetime. We all know what happened to Butterfree. When Butterfree's mate, they die. Butterfree is dead. You don't get to do me twice. You killed Stoutland, I was out.
So my hot take is I think for the Pokemon Company's argument purposes, Alola does not count. There were no gyms in Alola. Professor Kukui used time travel to build an Alola League just so that Ash could win it. This is a fact. He made the entire Alola League just so that Ash could win by using time travel. So, it was rigged, 100%. It's not official. There's no gyms. The Pokemon League just happened one day because Kukui said it because he wanted this kid to win. That is not an official league. No. So I think just for the purpose of because I do not think they're going to retire Ash as a character. I think the moment you retire Ash, you slash your viewership. Just for the reason you were just saying, you are not ready to let Ash go for nostalgia reasons. If you replace Ash, people just lose interest.
I feel like when I go on a journey, I expect Ash to go on that same journey. Mm-hmm. And every time I play a Pokemon game, that's a journey for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect to see Ash going alongside me throughout that journey. It is not uncommon for me to be playing Pokemon and watching Pokemon while I'm doing it. So when I'm on a journey, I expect Ash to be on a similar journey. And that kind of leads me to another point that I want to bring up. Did the show write themselves into a weird place by straying so far away from the game content?
Yes.
This show is weird in terms of Pokemon series. It is very different, vastly different.
All the characters are completely different. Yeah, every character is different.
The evil team is not evil.
No. Lucamine's a good person. Lucamine is an angel. She's not an angel in the games. She is.
And honestly, it diminishes Lily's character development.
Lily just kind of becomes a brat.
Yeah, her purpose as a character is unfulfilled throughout the course of the show. Mm-hmm. Her fear is
Angladian.
Yeah, but they both have no true motivation because the way they wrote the show.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying I dislike the show because of things like this. It was kind of interesting to see them go a different route than the game. But because it's so vastly different from the games, I feel like characters who are important to the game hold no weight. And there aren't a whole lot of characters that hold a lot of value in the actual game. But Lily is one of them. Like, Hal is useless in both the series and the game. That's the one thing they got right. He's useless.
But I like Hal's personality. He's a fun guy. He's just useless.
He's a nice guy. He's just useless. Like the worst rival the game has ever had, to the point where they made Gladion the rival in the show.
Yeah.
It's a weird place for the show, in my opinion, because it's like we wrote this show so vastly different from the content of the game that it almost feels like a side story for the anime itself. Like it feels like the Orange Leagues.
Yeah.
It feels a lot like the Orange League, something that holds no true weight throughout the context of the series as a whole.
But then here's the thing is that this isn't, this has a game to go with it. This is the official anime for this generation. And so Orange Island and Battle Frontier weren't really. They were, there's Battle Frontier and Emerald, but it's not enough to make the anime about. And so it doesn't hold weight. And I feel like that's how they treated this. And then to back up the argument, there's no gyms. The Alola League was made by Kukui for no reason. And it's the show doesn't hold weight. And I think that's just going to be their excuse to say, hey, Ash is still going.
Yeah. Well, all of that leads me to believe that whatever this new show is going to be, we need to hold our breaths to find out what this new series is going to be, because normally by the time we get to the end of one series, we start to see artwork and key art for a new series. But we haven't seen key art for the Galar region yet. We had key art for Sun and Moon right around the time that Ash was competing
in the league,
in the X and Y League.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, I wish I had I might go back and watch all of Alola. Like I said, I stopped when Stoutland died, and I picked up right around the time that they announced that Ash was in the Pokemon League, because that's typically where the battles get really good. And they were good battles this time around. Like Ash's journey through the top 16 was great this time out. And obviously Ash winning a Pokemon League is historic. And it was trending on Twitter. It was the #1 trending topic on Twitter all Sunday morning. Like, that's how important this was. Like, I had people on my Twitter profile saying that people are talking about this like it was the Super Bowl, which, yeah, it's true. This was trending #1 on Twitter. Ash finally wins. And it led to all these people having all these inspirational quotes on Twitter. And I was like, they could have, that's how much Ash as a character kind of means to people. Like, Ash finally winning a league. It was in newspapers. It was on terrestrial TV news. This was all over the internet. This was a trending topic on all forms of social media. This was important for fans of Pokemon, especially fans that engage in all the different types of media that Pokemon encompasses. So this was a big moment for fans. And I didn't think it was ever going to happen because of the statements from before. But I truly think, like we discussed earlier, that this is a response to how poorly the reception was of Ash losing the X and Y League.
One thing I think going forward, going off of what you said about writing into a corner in this new series, I can see them sort of do both at the same time, and then just kind of say, hey, Ash, you are going to slowly just stop getting new episodes very, very slowly, like 2 generations from now. Like, we might just have to do cameos in every, they're going to have both, and you're going to build this new Pocket Monsters up as the new one. And then once they have that one sort of really established, they're going to say, all right, Ash, you get 1 episode left. That's it. I could see them doing that. Just do 2 at the same time.
People off of him like he's a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's it's proper. I think people want that new new character because it's been requested that, hey, Ash sucks, give us a proper protagonist. But also, we all love Ash. And it's, what's the word I'm looking for next? Oh gosh, oh no. Oh yeah, the style of this Sun and Moon show, in terms of the writing, where they've written themselves into a corner, the characters are all different, and the sort of formula for the show is different, where it's not as much the adventure as much as it is a slice of life. And so make this maybe a slice of life with Pokemon, starring Ash and Pikachu, and then have the adventure with the new protagonists in the new anime, right? I could see that.
Exactly. All right, but guys, with that being said, I think we can go ahead and wrap up our Pokemon Sun and Moon the series talk and move into some more relevant Pokemon news. So earlier today, Pokemon Sword and Shield had a brand new trailer, the shortest trailer that they've had thus far for the game. This one's 32 seconds long, but within that 32 seconds, we got a brand new Pokemon, and that Pokemon is Sirfetch'd, which is an evolved form of Farfetch'd. All right, so
Sirfetch'd, yes.
What do you think of the appearance of the character? Because this was leaked a little while ago, not too long ago, but about a couple, like maybe 2 weeks ago, it got leaked. And I didn't give it a lot of credence because I was like, even though it looked legit, I was like, I don't know if that's like, I was like, an Alolan form of Farfetch'd seems out there because the character doesn't evolve at all. So I don't know. It was just a weird choice for an Alolan form, but happened to actually be an evolution. So
it's so to my knowledge, it wasn't actually leaked. So Pokemon put out the blurred image of this. They put it out, they tweeted it.
A pretty accurate.
They were like fan renditions and stuff, because like you can descramble those things. People did it that with Smash Bros and like the Spirits logo, right? So they probably someone descrambled it. It wasn't hard to sort of figure out with the giant freaking leak and the duck-like appearance. Like, okay, that's Farfetch'd. People just sort of like made renders of it themselves, based off kind of what they saw.
As far as the glitched image, let's go ahead and read what Pokemon Company themselves wrote on their website about that glitch. So here's the official statement. Attention trainers, we would like to apologize for a series of glitches that affected the appearance of images and text on our page that was meant to announce new Pokemon that has been discovered to appear in the Galar region. As of Wednesday, September 18th, 2019, the error has been corrected. We have learned that the incident was caused by a mischievous wild Rotom that entered our servers, causing a temporary disruption to our website. Fortunately, our IT members, skilled Pokemon trainers in their own right, were able to convince the Rotom to leave our system and return it to where it normally resides. With that issue cleared up, we are now free to finally present detailed information about the newly discovered Pokemon found to appear in Pokemon Sword. Thank you for your understanding in this matter. So, like Blooz stated earlier, the image that we got last week was a glitched image, very pixelated, couldn't tell what it was, but you could speculate. And there was some pretty accurate fan renditions, I would say.
The people that guessed the name, like someone definitely knew the name, and that said it, and it stuck. Because Sirfetch'd, the name was just tagged onto it, and that was right, which blew my mind. But,
but as far as the design is concerned, I love the fact that the leak it carries has become like a bladed like sword with a hilt and everything, and he now has like a grass shield, which is pretty dope. I love the change in the color, like going from a brown to more like a cream or
a white. Yeah,
love that. So as far as the Pokemon itself is concerned, let's go ahead and get into its description. Its category is the wild duck Pokemon. Its type is fighting. Its height is 2 feet 7 inches. Its weight,
that's a big boy.
Yeah, it's 257.9 pounds.
What? It's 2 feet tall.
Its ability is steadfast. Only Farfetch'd that have survived many battles can attain this evolution. When this Pokemon League withers, it will retire from combat. So Sirfetch'd is a noble knight that fights fair and square. Far Farfetch'd of the Galar region can evolve into Sirfetch'd after experiencing many battles. They are calm and collected. They may make a point of always battling fairly. They are so noble in battle that they are often chosen as a motif for paintings. Of particular note is a painting famous in the Galar region that depicts a duel between a Sirfetch'd and an Escavalier. Its irreplaceable leek has seen many battles. In battle, Sirfetch'd uses the sharp stalk of its leek as a lance, the thick leaves as a shield. It maintains this leek over the span of many years and treasures it more than anything. When its leek finally withers, Sirfetch'd will leave the battlefield and retire from battling entirely. That's kind of depressing. And then we have this. Witness Meteor Assault, the signature move of Sirfetch'd. Meteor Assault is a new move introduced in these games that only Sirfetch'd can learn. Sirfetch'd points its leek at the opponent and charges towards them at a great speed. This move is devastatingly powerful. However, it appears the move also puts great strain on Sirfetch'd. It will be unable to take action immediately after using the move. So I'm surprised it didn't say that this move has like recoil damage, but it actually looks like it's jousting when it's going through this when it's using Meteor Assault.
They gave it Hyper Beam.
Gave
Sirfetch'd Hyper Beam.
Sirfetch'd itself, though, I love this evolution. Now, this is exclusive to Pokemon Sword. So, Pokemon Shield fans, people who want Pokemon Shield, I'm sorry. I'm certain that they are going to announce your game exclusive Pokemon fairly soon. We're getting really close to the release of this game.
I want to talk about that real quick because I could see them doing a couple different ways of doing that. They could make this a branching evolution where there's the fighting type Sirfetch'd and maybe a dark type or a fairy type or some other like far-fetched evolution. Which also, why is this just a fighting type? It's still a duck. It's still a bird. Give it the flying type. Come on.
It's weird.
Yeah, I hate that. And so we could see like a dual far-fetched evolution, which could be interesting. Or we could see just another Pokemon as the counterpart to it in a Galarian evolution form. But I'm definitely interested to see what that will be.
But that being said, though, man, this is a great evolution for Farfetch'd and maybe making the Pokemon more viable instead of like a, fodder for completionists.
Mm-hmm.
That's typically what I see Farfetch'd as like, hey, I need this guy to complete my decks, and that's pretty much it.
I don't necessarily like him as much. I think he'll still be kind of underwhelming. If I'm going to be completely honest, I don't like the steadfast ability on him. You could have done such a better ability, but also there's probably going to be a hidden ability of some kind for him. I'm just surprised we don't have any indication of its existence. But there's probably going to be another ability for him. I really like that they're going a Sinnoh region route where they're taking a lot of these useless quote-unquote Pokemon and giving them more evolutions. My big issue with it is that they are doing in a Galarian way, where they're sort of Galarian form-based evolutions. So I fear they're writing themselves into a corner with these evolutions much more than they are with, say, Magmortar, Electivire, and Tangrowth, etc. Those were just normal evolutions that had new methods. These are like in this region specifically, so that when we go on to Generation 9, we have to sort of write a new way to do this Pokemon, or we don't put it in the decks at all.
Yeah.
I don't like that as much.
Although I will say I love this design because we have yet to see. We've seen like Knights with Corviknight, and we've seen the smokestacks with Weezing. We haven't had like a proper jouster yet, and I think jousting is one of the things that we would associate with like England or the UK in its entirely, like having a jousting knight, and Sirfetch'd properly fits that bill with like his league looking very much like a lance.
Yeah.
And obviously the meteor strike attack itself looking very much like jousting entirely. But love that. I love that. I would love to see how that, like, I love the way that was animated in the game. I would love to see how like useful it actually is in battle.
I'm looking forward to naming mine Lancelot. Lancelot's gonna be his name for sure.
Gets much better than Leakslot.
I could name him that too.
Sure leaks a lot. All right. But yeah, this is the shortest like Pokemon trailer we've had since the announcement of Sword and Shield, and I'm not sure if I like them doing this. I mean, because the last trailer, there was a large info dump that was pretty much exclusive to the website, and now it's this trailer. Well, that was during and they did that during the direct. And with this trailer, it's like here's a 30-second trailer that showcases and highlights one specific Pokemon that we're adding to the game and nothing else. Are they running out of stuff to show us?
No, I don't think so. They did a lot of these during the Sun and Moon reveal era. They did a lot of 30-second stuff. What?
There were 30-second trailers, but they weren't showing one Pokemon at a time.
They were showing you 1 to 2. It wasn't a whole lot, but it wasn't info dumps. I feel like the answer is no, but because there's still time to info dump the other big things we still need to info dump. And I think they're going to make the rest. They're saving those, but they also know that we got to, our fans are ravenous. We got to give them a Farfetch'd or something, man. Just tie them over.
Exactly. All right. But is that all we have on the Pokemon Sword and Shield discussion? I
believe so. They didn't announce anything other than Sirfetch'd. So, yeah. He's a fighting type, which is dumb. And he's sword exclusive, which, where's my shield exclusive? Come on.
Anyhow, I think that wraps everything up as far as our news and stuff is concerned today. Yeah, so, man, I'm actually really like the news topics we got to cover today because they were great topics. Like, the lawsuit, the rebranding of E3, Ash and all the Pokemon news that we got.
Ring Fit Adventure.
Ring Fit. Fun topics to go ahead and actually discuss. I don't think we've had a show that was this varied in a while. Like normally one topic will lead into another topic, but not this episode. This episode is a little bit all over the place with all the information that we got. But with that said, let's go ahead and move into our next segment, which is a new segment to the show, and that's going to be our Collector's Corner. This is something where a little segment that I want to add to the show for a while now, something where we highlight new products that are coming out that we think, fans of Nintendo should really be on the lookout for. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. Earlier this week, specifically yesterday, Funko unveiled a brand new Pikachu Pop called the Waving Pikachu, which makes the second Funko Pop Pikachu, or third if you include the 10-inch variation, that's going to be released. And this one, you can see a slight modification to the body and a very big change to the head sculpt, but it looks adorable. You can see where they may have learned from their experiences making the first Pikachu and the other Pokemon Funko Pops. And it just looks great. We're going to go ahead and showcase that in the fully edited version of the podcast. So I know you guys aren't seeing it here, but it will be up in the edited version. And it looks adorable, and pre-orders are up on Amazon. So go ahead and secure that, because if you're a fan of either Funko Pop or Pokemon, this is something you definitely want to add to your collection. And staying with Funko, my second addition to the Collector's Corner is, as of today, right now, the brand new A Day with Pikachu figure is live on PokemonCenter.com, and this is the fall release. I cannot remember what it's called right now, but it's the one with Pikachu playing in a pile of leaves with a Punkaboo. It's super cute, got your Halloween vibes, got your fall vibes. If you haven't secured your pre-order yet, do it now before they sell it online. The A Day with Pikachu line has become very hard to collect. In fact, as rabid as I am as a collector, I don't even have a full set of the A Day with Pikachu line. I only have 4 of the 8 that have been released. I did secure my pre-order for the brand new one, so make that 5. And be prepared, because I will have an unboxing video of that going forward. You'll see that as soon as I get my hands on the figure. Last time I ordered one of these through the Pokemon Center, it took about 6 days for it to get here. So next week, be prepared for that unboxing video, because I'm certain that it will be here next week. Aside from that, I don't have anything else to add to the Collector's Corner segment. So, Blooz, what cool collectibles did you find this week?
So I'm a big fan of art books. I feel like I'm cheating to say this week, but I've put on pre-orders for 2 of them. The Art of Super Mario Odyssey, I pre-ordered. It comes out in November, as well as the Art of Splatoon 2. The English translation is finally coming out in November as well. So I put down pre-orders for those on Amazon earlier 2 days ago, actually. So that's but I'm really big into art books. Those are my primary collectible.
I am also a huge fan of art books. Specifically, the Art of Splatoon was the first book.
I have it. It's great.
That was the Dark Horse. They did the publishing for that book. The hardcover of that is absolutely gorgeous. If you don't have the first one, I highly recommend you pick that one up, man, because you see pretty much all the phases.
It is. It's great.
You even get to see like the original bunny forms.
Yeah.
Through that art book. So
I don't think you see the tofu forms though, right?
No,
the tofus, yeah.
Yeah, the tofu forms were unveiled like at GDC last year was the first real time we saw those. But yeah, the bunny forms was cool. You get to see all the different variations of Callie and Marie through that art book, which those characters got redesigned.
Yeah.
A lot before they settled upon their final designs. I think they were satisfied with their names relatively early on, but the development of what they would look, their appearance, is something that went through many iterations. And it just goes to show you, that art book shows you how much real effort goes into just Nintendo's art direction.
And that's why I love art books, to sort of see like the what the mindset is. A lot of art books have, little blurbs written about like why this looks the way it does in this early development, or why it changed, or what they were going for. You get to see like it laid out, and seeing that creative process is why I love art books.
No, absolutely. I'm right there with you. The only other art books I have are typically from the Legend of Zelda series. That's because, again, like Splatoon, those games go through a whole lot of changes throughout their development. Just seeing the art direction for Link in a game like Breath of the Wild, like they went through very many different iterations. But Zelda went through way more. Like before they finally settled upon her design, like they went through so many different iterations. Like we had like your classic princess, you had your more tomboy one before they settled on like a somewhat amalgamation of both of those art styles. You get to see a lot through art books, man. Like it's the design process alone, like especially when in terms of like just like I said, art direction and Nintendo games, they go hand in hand. Like Nintendo doesn't always have the most graphically intensive games, but they do have some of the best art direction of any other video game developer. There aren't a whole lot of studios that really match. I think Naughty Dog does, but because Naughty Dog always goes for a somewhat more photorealistic art style, it makes it a little bit harder for them. That's why we see characters that look very reminiscent of real people, where like Nathan Drake is very much like a parody or an homage to Nathan Fillion, and Ellie looks very much like Ellen Page. And even their names are like derivatives of the people that they're based off. Nathan Drake, Nathan Fillion, Ellen Page, Ellie.
Because I know someone in the comments is going to say, well, Crash doesn't look like a real person. The Naughty Dog from then is very different from the Naughty Dog now. They're completely different animals.
They are so completely different studios. If we're going on based on those things. Like, I don't think anybody from the original Naughty Dog team
still works there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do. But I know someone in the comments is going to say, well, Crash doesn't look like a real human. You're lying. So, no.
That's true. No, but
different studios, completely. No.
Yeah, but like I said, I think Naughty Dog is the only studio that even comes close to even, touching what Nintendo does in terms of art direction. And it's done in a completely different way because Naughty Dog, they go for those photorealistic, like, moments. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking to create like the most like visually appealing game. They're looking to I'm sorry, visually appealing is what I meant to say. They're looking to create the closest thing to realism that they can with the technology that they have.
I want to throw out another studio under the hat here. Insomniac. Also, the creators of Spyro. But they've done, a lot of just really well art direction games like Sunset Overdrive. I thought had a really nice art direction to it. We see the new Spider-Man game that came on PlayStation 4 just 2 years? It's been a year. It's been only a year, right? We see Song of the Deep. We see all of the Spyros back when they, made Spyro. They don't anymore. So I guess art direction for that is different. Ratchet and Clank is a very cartoony series, but it's also very pretty. They do a lot of good stuff in terms of art direction, I feel like.
Very true. And one more thing to add to the collectors' corners. Amiibo collectors, Amiibo hunters.
Mm-hmm.
You have a couple of releases coming out this week. You have the Link's Awakening Link that will be released on Friday alongside the game. But you also have the release of Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Snake from the Smash Brothers series. So be on the lookout for those amiibos. If you haven't secured your pre-orders, through whatever retailer or Amazon, Amazon put up the links for all the amiibos earlier this morning. You should still be able to get them via Amazon. I've got my pre-orders locked in for those amiibo because, first off, that Link amiibo is absolutely adorable, and I can't wait to add that to my collection. But, I kind of want to have as many of the Smash amiibos as I can. I will never have a full set of the Smash amiibos, but I can have the majority of them. I think I'm only missing like 3.
And going back to my stuff that's coming in November, the art books both come out in November. Past that, we have Incineroar, Chrom, and Simon coming out in November as well. So November is going to be my collector's month for sure.
All right, but with that, I think we can go ahead and wrap up this segment of Collector's Corner. I kind of like the idea of adding like new segments to this show every now and then. Plus, as an avid collector of a lot of different, mediums, I typically love to get my hands on, Nintendo style collectibles because we live in an era where we can do that now. When I was growing up, you could not really get a whole lot of great Nintendo collectibles. Like, they just didn't exist. And high quality ones, we couldn't even dream of that. And then Amiibo started to come out, and that really changed the game in general, because Amiibo were like these like little mini high quality statues that Nintendo put out, and they were really affordable. And after Amiibo started coming out, we started to see a lot more just real high quality collectibles come out after them. And now we live in a time where we can have cool things like, Chain Chomp desk lamps and Yoshi's Egg mood lights and whatnot. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Yoshi's Egg mood light at GameStop, but that's definitely something I want to pick up. But they have all these cool Nintendo themed collectibles, and this is the right era to be a Nintendo fan because you get it in all different forms now. We're getting theme parks, we're getting movies, we're possibly getting a Netflix exclusive Legend of Zelda's TV show. We have all these cool collectibles, and obviously we have these great games. So this is the best time to be a Nintendo fan.
Wasn't the Netflix original announced and then canned back in 2014? Or did they re-announce that?
Yeah, I think Reggie said something about it again before he left, like how they are in talks with them to do something new again. So I hope that actually goes somewhere. I think that's probably gonna I think the success of the Witcher live action Witcher show will probably be a good indication as to whether or not Nintendo should go forth with this. But either way, we are getting a Super Mario Brothers movie. We have the Detective Pikachu film, which still a great movie if you haven't seen it. Great time to be a Nintendo fan, and an even better time to be a collector of things. Don't
we already have a Super Mario Bros. Movie?
A good one, Paul. I'm hoping for a good one.
All right. I just had to poke fun there.
All right.
Yeah, great time to be a fan.
Exactly. So with that, speaking of great time to be a fan, let's go ahead and move into our next segment and move into the What Are We Playing segment. We haven't done this in a long time, just because there's been so much news to cover in general. So Blooz, go ahead and hit us up with What Are We Playing? You start us off.
I haven't been playing Nintendo stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I've been neglecting my Nintendo duties. I did just finish finally Dragon Quest Builders 2 on my Nintendo Switch. It's a Square Enix game, but I play it on Switch, so don't get too mad at me. And I just finished that. It was a trip. Like, I don't want to get too into spoilers, but like a little bit over halfway in the game, like it just does like this commentary on like what it means to like be playing a video game. Like it like goes really, really meta and like philosophical in the story. I'm like, whoa, I didn't sign up for that. But it was great. A lot of fun. I spent 160 hours to beat that story. That's how long it took. But every second was a complete joy. But then after that, I started playing Astrobot on PlayStation 4 for VR. Astrobot, if you don't know, is essentially the mascot of PlayStation VR at this point. He's made sort of as a tech demo, but he's made by the people that made Ape Escape, Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, etc. Big great studio. It's like just Japan studios owned by Sony. They do a lot of great stuff there. It's a whole lot of fun. You may have heard of it before as referred to as the most Nintendo Sony game because it's got a lot of Nintendo, creativity. Like it feels like I'm playing
a first-person Mario game.
Not quite, because I want to say it's Mario-like because it feels to me specifically like Super Mario 3D Land. More not as much world, but more so land. And they're playing with a lot of the gimmicks there. Maybe a bit of Captain Toad gimmicks. And it, because I don't want to call it first person because like you control a little buddy Astrobot in third person, but you yourself supervised from first person, I guess. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. I would call it a third person game though. I think the perspective is rightfully third person. But it's a lot of fun. It's very Mario-like. You can see like all this is like a gimmick that Nintendo would do for each level. This is a lot of fun. You can also see if you are an Ape Escape fan like myself. A lot of the Ape Escape DNA is, I feel like, still in there, where you see, little robots. It's a game of hide and seek, just like how you're trying to catch the apes. You're trying to catch the little robots. Each one is like hidden in cute little places, or they have like little disguises with little animations. It's like one's just pretending to be a cactus, and it's a lot of charm. I don't know. It's great. I really liked that. I did also finally beat the first Shovel Knight game in like a day. So that's what I've been playing.
All right, so moving on to myself, I have been playing way too much Dr. Mario World. On my Android phone. That game is super addictive, and yes, it is a pay to it's a free to play game, and it has a lot of those free to play aspects that I find negative from a lot of mobile games. But the overall gameplay is super addictive. It's not like a traditional Dr. Mario game in a sense, but in the traditional sense, but it does still feel like Dr. Mario. And I really do like the online multiplayer. I think they do a fantastic job of doing that, and the way that you level up through the ranks within that. Actually, I play that multiplayer way more than I play the single player mode, and it's really competitive online. Now, it does have that kind of like, pay to win aspect of it, but if you're really good, you can still beat a lot of the people who have better doctors than you. That being said, I think the game is visually so appealing. And this is the first mobile game that Nintendo has done that's not in conjunction with DNA. So visually, it doesn't exactly look like the DNA games, and it doesn't feel like one of the DNA games. I think they did this game in conjunction with Line, and it looks different, but it plays phenomenally. Aside from that, I've also been playing a lot of Pokemon Masters. I don't know what to feel about Pokemon Masters though. I find the game enjoyable, but I also find it weird in a sense because it has like the active time battle that you see in earlier Final Fantasy style games, from basically like Final Fantasy 4 through about 9. But it's weird. But I do like the weird. I do love the way the game looks visually. The weird battle system is funny, but also somewhat engaging. But the problem with that game is the loot boxes in that game. And not knowing which trainer you're gonna get really bums me out because I've been trying to get Gary for a while or Blue, and I just can't because they've made him basically like impossible to get. But I do find myself actually enjoying the game. I played a little bit of Pokemon Go because of the Unova Pokemon that just got added to the game earlier this week. And aside from that, the game I've been playing the most is Final Fantasy VIII remastered for the Nintendo Switch. I am a huge fan of Final Fantasy VIII. I know this is the game that is the most divisive between the Final Fantasy community. It's a weird one because it's like it doesn't feel like Final Fantasy VII, especially when you consider how great Final Fantasy was at bringing, Square Enix and the Final Fantasy series to the foresight of people's minds. But there are a lot of mechanics that I do enjoy within the game, and I find myself playing way too much of the Triple Triad card game in Final Fantasy VIII. Like, it's super engaging. It's really hard to get into, but once you're in it, like, you get a lot of cool rewards within the game itself. So it's definitely something I recommend that anybody who plays Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, I recommend you get into the game. You'll find yourself way more engaged in it than you should. Kind of gives me like the Witcher vibes as far as like, here's a really engaging card game that we made. But yeah, Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, like, I do have some issues with the game, but they're not like game breaking. I know a lot of people are complaining about a lot of different things, but I really do enjoy the things like the triple speed that they added to the game. Really makes that game go by so much better because that game's a little bit of a slog without features like that. I would say any RPG really is turn-based at least. But yeah, love the game. Still has one of the best opening cutscenes of any video game of all time. So that's what I've been playing. Yeah, those 2 mobile games and 1 Switch title. Which, let me just say, I'm really happy we're in the era that we're in, where Square Enix and Nintendo can play nice again with one another. Anything else to add to what are we playing?
I have not been able to play Pokemon Masters because I know that's a bad idea. I know I don't have the money for it, so I've not downloaded it specifically. But yeah.
See, if I have this app on my Android phone, I recommend any Android user who download this app. It's this Google Surveys app. They pay you to participate in like 5-question surveys. You get like 2 a week, and that they pay you in like Google Play credits, and then you can use them for in-game purchases. And that's usually what I do with that money. I was like, hey, it's free money. I don't have to really invest my own money into the game. Aside from that, Pokemon Masters is fairly generous of giving you the in-game currency for free. Like, they don't give you like large amounts of it at a time, but they're fairly generous about like, here's 1,000 gems, go spend them. But on new characters, we want you to get addicted because that's what we do with mobile games. Pokemon Company's actually kind of bad at at the whole in-game purchases thing. I wonder if this game got banned in like Belgium.
Maybe.
All right. With that said, though, let's go ahead and move into our last news segment, and that's New Release Friday. So from here on out, we're going to start talking about what new releases we're excited about. And there's only one real big release coming out this Friday, and that is going to be The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Switch. Finally, this game is coming out. I love Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. The fact that we're getting it in HD on the Switch, completely remade, I cannot wait. They have a very dope amiibo to go alongside of it. Super adorable. And this is a game that I'm picking up day one. I haven't picked up a lot of new games lately. I didn't get I didn't get Fire Emblem. I didn't get Astral Chain. They are on my list. I will play them eventually, guys. But I'm saving money to go on a trip, so I had to be very judicious as to which game I would be adding to my collection over the next couple months. I picked Link's Awakening because I have really fond memories of playing that game on my Game Boy, and the fact that I'm going to get a chance to re-experience the game in 2019 and it looks the way it does, I am thoroughly excited. you can't convince me that I'm making a bad purchase with this one. So Link's Awakening this Friday. I will be doing a live stream to coincide with the release of the game. So you can look forward to that. And that's going to be on Twitch, twitch.tv/Nintendo PowerZone. Blooz, any thoughts on Link's Awakening?
Like you had said before, I was not able to pick up Astral Chains or Fire Emblem Three Houses, etc. Lots of other games I wanted to pick up because I don't have the money. I'm saving up just like you are. But I also have to cut out Link's Awakening potentially. The way I'm kind of seeing is that I get to buy a game in October. That's not, we just mentioned because that's going to be like the end of October. So it's a coin flip between Astral Chains, Three Houses, Link's Awakening, and the PS4 game Control by Remedy Studios. But between those four, I'll pick up one of them. I'm kind of not thinking it'll be Link's Awakening just because, like, I've played Link's Awakening fairly recently in comparison to you maybe, so I don't need it right now. But Astral Chains looks so good, and Control looks so good. So we'll have to see. It looks great. It looks so cute and wonderful and charming. So I'm definitely gonna pick it up, but not a day one for me.
I can see that. Like, I get it. Not every game is supposed to be, you know, a day one purchase. I feel that way with Ring Fit Adventure coming out next month. I know that when Town comes out, that'll probably be a day one purchase for myself. But aside from that, yeah, guys, new release Friday. Whenever we do one of these, I'm going to try to ensure that one of us gets the game so that we can do a stream about that game for new release. So it'll either be myself, Blooz, or Jaden doing a day one live stream of the game. And that's going to be accessible via the official Nintendo PowerZone Twitch page, twitch.tv/Nintendo PowerZone. Again, please come ahead and check us out on that because I know, like, we're doing our best to try to make the Twitch platform a lot more viable. I know we haven't done a whole lot of like tending to that garden. It's something that gets a little bit lost. I have a bunch of other responsibilities as far as like what I do for this channel and whatnot. But I have been streaming a lot this year. Considering this is the first year that I've actually pursued streaming as like an interest for the channel. So please join. Just go ahead and join us there. Twitch.tv/Nintendo PowerZone. Any other thoughts on new release Friday?
2 weeks from now still, we'll get Dragon Quest 11 some other week after. I'm not sure if it's a Friday or a Saturday or what, but the 27th of the month. If you're not into Zelda, maybe into Dragon Quest, pick that up. The demo's free, 10 hours long worth of demo, save file transfers. Other than that, though, no new releases that I can think of anytime really soon, other than those two. But they're great games. Pick them up. New release Friday, guys.
All right, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Nintendo PowerZone podcast. But guys, before we let you go, we got to hit you up with these social media links. You can hit me up on Twitter at NyceOne983. You can email me at NyceOne983@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/Nintendo PowerZone. If you are a fan of the Nintendo PowerZone podcast, you can always download new episodes on iTunes, Google Play Music, and stream new episodes on Spotify and Stitcher Radio. But if you want to watch the live version of the show, because we are live again, you got to check us out right here on YouTube, youtube.com/Nintendo PowerZone. Blooz, go ahead and hit them up with your social media links.
All right. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at TheKingBlooz. I don't post a whole lot, but I'm there if you want to follow me. You can also follow me on YouTube and Twitch. So once again, TheKingBlooz. Blooz, as always, spelled BLOOZ.
All right, guys, and that's going to go ahead and wrap up our show for this fortnight. We will be back in 2 weeks with a whole bunch of awesome new Nintendo-related topics to go ahead and discuss with you guys. And thank you guys so much for joining us in the live stream. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the podcast. And until next time, stay fresh. Deuces.